Mental health. We're talking about it now more than ever.
I've worked with therapists for the last 25 years. I'm always open to therapy.
Card's sister says her brother suffered from paranoia and stress.
$6.4 billion bond to transform California's mental health system.
We have seen quite a few with potential suicide risk.
During these times of unrest and an important year for our country, Spectrum News is taking a closer look at mental health and how it affects all of us. No matter your race,
Charles is kind of like a life coach to me.
age, hola Rosita,
Hola, Dr. Cross.
or how you identify.
In our culture, it's very much taboo to speak about mental health.
We are showing you the suffering,
I cried myself at night to sleep.
I considered suicide for a very short amount of time.
and also the solutions.
I tell the parents, be open. That will be so comforting to your child.
From coast
We have more work to do, and we've been doing more.
to coast,
People who have mental health challenges get the treatment they need.
this is an honest and real look at how Americans are dealing with their emotional well-being. This is the state of mental health in America. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the State of Mental Health in America. I'm Dr. Nicole Cross. Over the next half hour, we are checking in with people from all walks of life, asking, how are you doing? It is a question many take lightly and often answer it without thinking, but how are you really doing? Earlier this year, beloved Sesame Street Muppet Elmo asked his social media followers that question, and let's just say the reaction was not what he expected. Thousands of people, including celebrities and even some well-known brands, responded, sharing very vulnerable answers like, "My job is a joke and the world is burning." They say they felt depressed at their lowest and were struggling. Now, shortly after that post, Elmo sent out another tweet saying he was glad he asked the question and that he learned how important it was to ask a friend how they're doing. Soon, we will hear from one of Elmo's friends, Rosita, on how she copes when she's sad. But first, the facts behind the feelings. It is likely that you or someone you know is managing a mental health condition, and it is important to know you are not alone. According to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. live with a mental illness, and for children, that number is 1 in 6. Mental illness can be invisible or may look different on each person. From anxiety to depression to an eating disorder, millions of Americans are navigating these common mental health issues, including Allison Christopher, a woman in New York who reached out to us wanting to share her experience with bipolar disorder, hoping to be understood.
Here she comes, that crazy girl, and a lot of things can rip right through your heart. Because so many people can talk about other diseases, other illnesses, and assume, some people accept you, but a lot of times I'm looked at very strangely. When I was diagnosed back in 2005, after living and going through a domestic violent relationship, losing my father, it all of a sudden clicked where I was out of myself. I was doing just strange stuff.
Tell me about the hurt that you've experienced.
I cried myself at night to sleep. Why am I so different? What has made me feel this way? And a lot of people don't even know that it is okay to be this. There's a lot of stereotypical views of bipolar disorder, but a lot of times there is a stigma. As soon as you say it, you feel fear. So one time I was at a place, I felt I could be free and tell someone. I said, well, I suffer from bipolar disorder. And they back like, oh, okay, well, you're nuts. You're crazy, and you're really not. And those terms really hurt me. So I said, you know what, maybe I shouldn't even talk about it. So the hurt that I felt, yes, I felt crushed. I have cried about it. Have I felt depressed? Yes. There are times I wanted to commit suicide behind all of this because I felt like misunderstood.
Talk to me about why that was important to you, why you chose to reach out to me, and why you are choosing to share your story in this way.
The reason I wrote to you is because I felt that you would listen, and I felt my story would touch you enough to get through. I am a graduate of Johnson C. Smith University, earned a bachelor's arts degree in broadcast journalism. There's things I have done, but a lot of times people feel that bipolar people, they're off their rocker, they're dumb, no, they're not. And the reason I wanted to tell my story, I said, is because it can reach the nation. I mean, yes, you can do things locally. I think the people need to know.
We thank Allison for being vulnerable and sharing her story. Earlier in the show, we asked, how are you doing? A recent study by the American Psychological Association found that overall, women say they are stressed, and more than half feel no one truly understands just how stressed they really are. Self-esteem issues, relationships, loneliness, and other health challenges like having a baby are often looming, but there are solutions. I asked a diverse group of women about how they balance life and all of its stressors. Leah, I want to start with you. What is your number one stressor right now? What's keeping you up at night?
Oh gosh, there's so much, but what I would say keeps me up most at night is the unrealistic expectations that we put on women, especially women of color.
Representative Bowers, what keeps you up at night?
Truly what keeps me up at night is just, as Leah said, finding balance. The balance enough to be able to govern, to be able to make decisions for the 30 million people here in Texas, but also most importantly, to make sure things are right at home.
Each of you are leaders who've taken bold steps in advocacy of yourself and others. I wonder, do you ever get tired or feel exhausted from having to swim upstream and against the current?
Where I live on the border, the Texas-Mexico border. It's already so hard to find access to quality health care. Access to physical health care is already difficult. Access to mental health care is even more difficult.
Representative Bowers, you too advocate for others. You too are on the front lines of changing life for so many. You and I share the same cultural background. And I don't know about for you, but for me, talking about therapy was sort of taboo growing up. But I'm noting a bit of an evolution when it comes to mental health, how it is languaged, and I credit younger generations for taking steps and taking a stand to say that my mental health is important and I am going to do what it takes to be healthy. Are you noting that same shift?
In today's world, I am seeing it, talking to young people about them putting their mental health first, even over their careers, and especially when we look at people like Miss USA, who just resigned because she didn't feel like she had the support she needed with when it came to her mental health.
In our culture, it's very much taboo to speak about mental health. It's very much taboo to say that you're depressed or that you're suffering from a mental illness. It's not spoken about in the Latino community.
No one is immune to life challenges. I want to know what helps you, what is working for you, what self-care practices would you like to share with others because they are beneficial? What helps you?
Get your body moving. It just does so much wonders for your mental health and boosting your endorphins. I'm also very big on surrounding yourself with the right people, making sure that the people in your life are positive influences.
Representative Bowers, what would you add?
And I always like to say, whether it's exercise, massage therapy, or getting a mani-pedi, any of those things, I tell people that it's an hour that you're investing in yourself.
They always say you can't pour from an empty pot, so you have to take care of yourself first. So I thank each of you for your time and for joining us here on Spectrum News. We really, really appreciate it. Now to men. We're talking about mental health may not happen as often. Many are reluctant to share their feelings because they were told not to, that boys don't cry and to man up. But experts say that does more harm than good. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, men are 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women, making up nearly 80% of all deaths. But when they're in a safe place, like the barbershop, it seems getting a haircut does more than just make them look good. That's where we got some answers to how they're doing.
With men's mental health, there's a lot of things that we engage in, some positive, some negative.
I can't say about every conversation they had in the barbershop.
The relationship between a barber and client?
Your barber is almost like your uncle, almost like a family member.
A friend.
Just being able to come and fellowship and be around guys and be able to maybe leave with a fresh cut and some new knowledge.
My haircut's the most important thing, and it helps me feel confident about myself.
Before getting a haircut, I feel very sluggish, and then after a haircut, I feel like I'm ready to go out and do what I gotta do and talk to people.
For the mental health of the client, it gets them talking. Any issue or any reservations they may have going on in their lives.
Charles is kind of like a life coach to me. Every time I come to him, he always just has an answer to my questions, especially because he's way older than me. And he's been through a phase in my life where my brother passed away, and he was actually there supporting me a lot.
It's really just that life connection.
Just positively motivate them to know that you are someone and you can win.
Being able to come again to a barbershop that you feel as a safe space, it will immediately help your mental health. The feel of the vibration of the clippers, the feel of just being maintenance is therapeutic in itself.
A man from Arkansas has made it his mission to create space for more men to talk about their mental health. Lorenzo Lewis created the Confess Project of America, an organization that teams up with barber and beauty shops across the U.S. to discuss issues men face, like sexuality and police brutality. Up next, we're talking kids.